Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the last Webinarium of 2015. This webinar is going to be in English, as I announced, and it's a very special webinar with a very special subject that we talked about on multiple occasions. My name is Željko Crnjaković, to our foreign guests, better known as Zach. And this webinar, we're going to talk about networking, and we talked about networking on several webinars, and we talked about why networking is important. Now today we have a special guest that's going to reveal one of or some of our of best used networking strategies, as well as answer multiple questions of how we can leverage networking and why it's important to create connections. Our guest today is Jack Smagala from Toronto. Jack, I think your mic is muted. Just if you can unmute it, and welcome to Webinarium. Good evening or good afternoon.
Can you?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. No, it's again muted. Sorry, one more click.
Can we hear me now?
Yes, excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Welcome to Webinarium, Jack. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Željko Crnjaković. I'm doing my best at saying your name. Serbian isn't the easiest language to pronounce, so I thank you for allowing us to do this in English. If I can call you Zach from now on, that would be great.
Excellent.
I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Poland. I came to Canada when I was 4, and I still speak, read, and write Polish. So I hope that if anyone travels outside the country, they maintain their mother tongue and they keep speaking Serbian for as long as they can, because it's going to definitely give them benefits going forward. I know a few words in your language and have many friends that are Serbian with Serbian roots. I know that you all love soccer. You call it football for some reason. You love your barbecue pig roasts outdoors. I know a lot of Serbians they do that. You like your Šljivovica, and you have a deep, strong love for friends and family. How am I doing so far, Zach?
Excellent, excellent. I think you kind of numbered the 5 top things for most people, not for all people, but in either case. So, Jack, can you tell us something about you and what you do, and why are you called the Power Connector?
Yeah, excellent. First of all, I'd like to say kako se vratko and kako se sesta to all my friends in Serbia. I'm excited to speak here. You got a very talented group, and if I miss something, please don't hesitate to interrupt. I would like to personally thank you, Zach, for having this opportunity to speak. The reason they call me the Power Connector, it's a little bit of a trademark name that I've designed with a colleague. I know a lot of people at high levels. It's not only the amount of people, it's the quality of the connections that I have. So whenever I make a connection, or I look for making a connection, or I tell someone I know somebody, I can actually back it up. So the Power Connector means that if you're looking for someone in a certain industry, I will see if I have that person in my database, and if I don't, I'll find someone who does. And if me and my colleagues at high levels can't find that person, usually that person doesn't exist. Okay. So that's why they call me the Power Connector.
Does that apply only to Canada, or is it worldwide?
Very good question, Zach. I would say it applies worldwide. I've expanded my network now to 3 or 4 different continents. I'm working on contract with a company in Poland that I met through a connection. What you'll notice through our talk is that I'm going to bring everything back to connections, and how making connections and networking is the lifeblood of an entrepreneur and the business. So Canada is my primary market where I do most of my work. But now that we're living in a global community, I do work around the world through the web and so forth.
Okay, excellent. So on another matter, I want to thank friends of Webinarium, Infostud, and Altus Host for helping us make these webinars. And Jack, we talked about networking on, as I said, on multiple occasions. What is networking to you as a definition?
Networking for me is the ability to meet people at any time and at any place, and being able to quickly and succinctly tell them exactly what you do in terms of a product or service. So that comes back to a positioning statement or elevator speech. But what networking means to me is the ability to meet new people and quickly and efficiently tell them what you do in terms of a product or service.
But let's go immediately to the elevator pitch.
Yep.
What is an elevator pitch? Is it just pitching your kind of a sales pitch, or is it something else?
An elevator pitch is a 30-second to a minute and a half mini resume of who you are and what you do. When I gave you my bio, it's more or less an elevator pitch, but it's a longer elevator pitch. An elevator pitch isn't you telling intimate details of your life. It's not technical. It's a commercial. For example, I heard, Zach, that you do commercials for media. If you were to get really technical in your commercials and get into details that most people, unless they're in the business, don't understand, you wouldn't be too busy. You wouldn't be making that much money. They want you to quickly, efficiently get into the topic that you want to get into. And the reason it's called an elevator pitch is because it was designed by someone in the United States many years ago, where from the bottom floor to the top floor of a building, if you can get your idea and your information out in that amount of time. Now, some are small buildings, so it's only 30 seconds, and then you have larger buildings, so it's a minute and a half. But it's no longer than a minute and a half, and it is not a technical, detailed dissertation on what you do.
And it's not. We talked about also, or somebody mentioned that it's no longer kind of a sales pitch. It's basically a meet you elevator pitch. So kind of succinctly telling just what you do without
Exactly.
pitching your idea that I need something from you, right?
Exactly. An elevator pitch is almost, it sounds contradictory because you're trying not to pitch somebody on anything. The new form of sales, and if you heard last week's, 2 weeks ago's Webinarium with Tom Stoyan, he's one of my colleagues and he's a teacher. He talks about people want to buy, they don't want to be sold. You want to give enough information that will interest them in asking more questions, but you don't want to force feed them something that they feel as if they don't want to ask any more questions about what you do.
Okay, excellent. So let's get immediately into the problems. So can you tell us what are the 5 biggest mistakes people make when meeting somebody?
Excellent, Zach. And you know what? I tried to get it down to 5, but I can only get it down to 10. So I'm gonna give you guys 10 of some of the biggest mistakes. And as I spoke to earlier, and as I put on my bio, I've done all of them myself. And the good news is I learned from them. And it's not a problem making mistakes. The problem is not learning from your mistakes. So let's start with failing to follow up. This is probably the golden rule of mistakes of any network. I used to go to over 150 trade shows in a year. One of the contracts I held was with a company called BTCI, and we did tax consulting. So my job was to engage clients at trade shows. And I would come back with a box full of information. I would come back with a bunch of business cards. I would be burned out. I would be there all day meeting people, talking to people. And 2 weeks later, I don't remember anything that I spoke to or anyone that I met. I didn't make a note on the business card. I didn't follow up. So how much business did I get from those trade shows that I didn't follow up? Probably nothing. So one of the biggest mistakes, Zach, that people make, you, me, and everybody else, is that when we meet someone, we don't officially some kind of formal follow-up with them, and that is very, very important. That's the first one. Do you remember any occasions when you met someone you didn't follow up and later on you're looking for that information or you're trying to remember who it was? Definitely. So that's probably the biggest one, Zach. Next one is quality over quantity. Have you heard of speed dating?
Yep.
Okay, so in 5 minutes you meet 20 people. I don't know how many of those turn into long-term relationships, but it's more important to meet one quality person and speak to them for 15 minutes than 25 people and exchange 5 words with them. It's very difficult to get to know someone in a short amount of time. So quality versus quantity. One of the things I talk about is Facebook. And I don't know anyone here, raise your hands. I know we can't see it, but we all have Facebook. And I have a friend that his goal is to get to 5,000. Because at 5,000, he's known as somebody who knows a lot of people. Now, I don't think he knows 5 of those people on his Facebook of 5,000. So, one of my friends recently told me that in LinkedIn, his colleague won't accept anybody unless he has personally met them, talked to them, shook their hand, somewhere, some kind of contact. So what I did is I deleted 80% of the people on my Facebook. So it's quality versus quantity. The people that are on my Facebook now, I've met or I know or I've spoken to at one time or another. So there's no reason to have people on there that you don't know. When you're at an event and you meet a lot of people, that's great. If you get 50 business cards, that's great. But if you have that one person that you meet that you do business with, that's more important than meeting those 50 people. So that's number 2. Talking too much about yourself. Now, I'm a victim of this as well, and in a webinarium, you want me to talk a lot about myself, so I'm going to take exception here. Please don't think I just talk about myself. But when you meet someone, one of the biggest mistakes you do is not asking about the other person. I got to meet you before the webinarium, and I got to ask you a few questions, and I got to know you, and for me, that's a big turn on. I get to find out something about someone's life, what they've done, what they're interested in. If you go to an event or you're networking or you're socializing and it's all about you, believe me, the conversation is not going to be long and that person's going to walk away. So that's number 3. Number 4, bad news or complaining. When you meet someone and you start into complaining or bad news or this is not going well for me or I just lost my job, the chances of you getting any kind of business going forward are very, very small. There's a golden rule of when you meet with someone at dinner or you go to someone's house, you don't talk about religion or you don't talk about politics because you're guaranteed to get into an argument. So some things you can have an opinion on. You say, that's interesting, thank you for that, and you move on. You don't talk about bad news and you don't complain when you meet someone. Who wants to meet someone that's constantly complaining? Do we all have friends like that?
Yeah,
Zach?
and actually, that's a big point that I want to stress out to everybody that's watching us and everybody that's going to watch us later on the recording, and we can share this to our friends. We have very big problems here, especially in Serbia, about constantly talking about bad things. So think positive, people. Basically, we're always positive into giving you topics and solutions, or at least advice into how to better change yourself to the positive. So I recently watched, and Jack, I think you know this video. So Jack Ma from Alibaba, he said the difference between successful people like Bill Gates, like Steve Jobs, like
Warren Buffett.
Mark Zuckerberg. So they always think positive. That's why they are so successful. There is no negative stuff, so they're always positive. They're always looking to the future.
Absolutely. And if you're, no matter what you have, you always can thank God and your friends and your family and your employer for what you have. Maybe it's not enough, but on the way to getting more, you thank them for what you have at this point. We have an ability to speak to hundreds of people through the internet. That's an amazing opportunity. We have the ability to speak English, which is a language that we can all understand. That's an amazing thing. So find 5 things that are going well in your life. On the way to getting more, you can always thank people for that. Good point. Next one is something that I always look for, and when I see it, I compliment the person immediately. Weak or poor handshake, not looking in someone's eyes. When you meet someone, even if you're a total bumbling fool and you can't make a smart comment for the next half an hour, as long as you come in with a very strong handshake and you look the person in the eye and you say, "Hi, my name is Zach. It's a pleasure to meet you," you're pretty much 50% of the way there.
Yep.
If you have a very weak, very unassuming handshake, you don't have any confidence, you don't look the person in the eye, that immediate moment you just lost, and it's going to be very hard for you to get that back. We all have had that situation. And when you meet someone and they give you a very hard, firm, strong handshake and look you in the eye and say, my name is Peter, or my name is Mia, or my name is John, or my name is Boyan, it's a pleasure to meet you, you almost want to talk to them and get started, right?
Yep.
Okay, one more we can give you, and then we can talk about some of the other ones later, is forgetting to say thank you. So I look to say thank you for absolutely everything at any time, at any place. I don't know if it's my parents gave that to me, or it's just the way I was brought up, or I learned it on my own, or a combination of both. Look to say thank you even when you meet someone for 5 minutes. People that are of position or power. I know a lot of people that are worth a lot of money, and they don't mind sharing me what they do, and they don't mind sharing their time with me, but if I'm not respectful to them, when they see that they've shared something with me and the time is the only thing they can't get back, they were not going to spend any more time with me in the future, or they won't have time with me when I email them, call them, text them, or ask for information. So always, always, always thank people for spending time with you. Zach, thank you for your time, by the way.
And thank you for being with us, Jack. So
Yeah,
let's dive deep into networking. So
got it.
where is networking done? So is it just on business events, or can
No.
you do networking online? How do you do networking?
Okay, everybody in the webinarium, raise your hand. Who's in sales and marketing? Who's in sales? I could see lots of hands, but not all of them are up. Some people don't believe they're in sales. And Zach, let me be honest with you. Every single person watching right now is a salesperson. They're selling themselves. They're selling their product. They're selling their service. They're selling their concept. They're selling their idea. They're selling their IT solution. Networking is done absolutely everywhere. If you live in a small town, I live in a town of 800,000 people, and Toronto is a town of probably as many people as all of Serbia. We have in the outskirts of Toronto about 6 million people, and I know all of Serbia is about 7 million people. So we live in an area where there's a lot of opportunity. But if you live in a small town and north of Toronto, there isn't a lot of people that live there. So the population is very small. I have a lot of friends that ask me, is there anything outside of Toronto? I said, yes, we have ice, polar bears, mountains, trees. There's not much there. So if you're living somewhere in Serbia where there's not a lot of networking events, there's not a lot of parties, there's not a lot of social events. Like you mentioned to me earlier, the capital city is robust. You have something going on all the time. You can buy and sell pretty much anything. But if you're not in that opportunity, where do you network and how do you network? We'll get into that in a bit, but the answer to your question is networking is done everywhere. We're networking right now. I have the opportunity to meet you today. We have a contact, and hopefully we can continue that.
Excellent. And yes, I do believe that networking is done everywhere. Even these webinars are a part of networking, and we've saw networking with people in the chat on recent webinars that they started communicating between themselves during the webinar, so meeting, exchanging information and exchanging solutions and advice. So that's the power of making connections. So is it done also? How successful can networking be online versus live?
Good question. Now that we live in a global community, we're all connected by the internet. We have the ability to see each other. I was brought up in a way of doing business where unless I meet the person, I don't do business with them. I was brought up that I have to physically look and touch and shake the person's hand, look them in the eye, and then at least I know that they're not an axe murderer. I know that they have 2 arms, 2 legs. I'm not talking to an alien or some machine. That's the way I was brought up. Now, slowly and slowly and slowly, I'm migrating into the way of connecting online. So you have to have some credibility when you're online. So I checked you out, you checked me out, I was referred, you were referred. So now we have a base now that we can look at getting the network started. But when you're at an event, we'll get into that because there's a lot there. It's fairly simple. The procedures are pretty common on how to network, and I've mastered a lot of them, and I'm more than happy to learn more from you guys. But online, you have people that basically tell you a lot of stories. And if you don't have a way of corroborating the story or backing up what they say or them proving to you without a shadow of a doubt that this is what they do, this is when they can do it, and this is the price that they could do it at, it's harder. let me be honest with you. The easiest way to network for me, and I think for everybody, is face to face.
I agree with you, or basically I know what you're saying, because except extremely in Serbia, we've all seen that most business is done, you know, in restaurants, in coffee shops. You know, people go out, meet somebody, have a drink, and you know, talk about serious business. And it's very hard to move people that we don't have to meet in a restaurant. It's enough to meet on Skype. Of course, we may have met on a recent event, but we can do still business online.
Of course.
And
Of course.
for example, my job is to talk to people in the US. 99% of the market that my company does is in the US. So if somebody told me that I'm going to speak with Microsoft and PepsiCo and I don't know about 300 companies in the US and sell stuff to them only by a conversation, then we're way off the grid that you know, the mentality that still is very profound, that we only do business outside the office, in a restaurant or in you know, local beer houses or something like that. Okay, so how do we? What's the preparation if we're going to go on a business event?
Okay, first of all, you have to have a checklist, and on your checklist, you might check off basic things. Where you're going to, what kind of event. If you're going to an event where there's a lot of football players, and they're all playing for you know, Team Serbia, and it's all their trainers and all their coaches and all the media people, and you come in a three-piece suit, but everybody else is wearing Adidas and Nike tracksuits, you're going to be looking a little bit out of place. So first thing you have to do is make sure that you find out what the event is geared to, and then dress appropriately. Whenever I throw an event, and I do a lot of events, people ask me what's the dress code, and I usually say business casual. So if I say you have to really dress up, somebody will come in a tuxedo and it's not necessary. If I say dress down, they might come in shorts and a t-shirt where it's more of a business meeting. So first and foremost, find out what kind of event it is and then dress appropriately. The second thing is do some research. When I was looking for work when I was younger, one of the ways I got my positions was I did a fantastic amount of research on the position, on the company, if I could, on the person that's hiring me or the management. If you can go into an event, let's say for example, we're going into network security conference in Belgrade, and this is just for professionals that are securing networks, IT people, and you do research on what's happening currently, what are the trends, who was bought and sold what company, who went bankrupt, what is the latest virus, what is the latest malware, and then you walk in there, you have that prepared. So when you have a conversation and you have an elevator speech or positioning statement, you can have a very good conversation with somebody quickly and you look like an expert. That doesn't mean you have to know everything, but just brief yourself on certain things that's going on in the event. Third thing is look to make a couple good contacts. One of the problems I had was when I went to an event, I wanted to meet everybody. So if there's 500 people, I would be upset if I didn't meet 500 people. And that's impossible. It's virtually impossible. I have ADD, but it's not to the level where I can meet 500 people in one day. It's impossible. So what you want to do is you want to look at a rule that is pretty constant in the business community in terms of networking and connecting, and it's 75-25. So 75% of the people you meet, interesting, you will see what happens. You might connect with them, you might not, whatever. 25% of the people, 20% of the people are people that you will never want to see again in your life as long as you live. These are the people you want to stay away from, and you'll actually pay to go to an event that they're not there. So you got 75%, and then you got 20%, and then that's 95%. 5% of the people you meet, you will be extremely happy you met, and you'll know you wonder how you made it through life without them, whether it's a personal connection or it's a business connection. My teacher always says you're one idea away from making $1 million. I go to a lot of events, and believe me, a lot of these people at a lot of these events are not interesting, they're not fun, they're not funny, they're boring, and I don't know what they're doing there, I don't know what I'm doing there. But I look for that needle in the haystack. When I'm sitting at home, and for me, this is quality time, so don't take it the wrong way, Zach. I'm really enjoying this. But if I'm sitting at home every day, not going anywhere, and not meeting new people, what are the chances of me meeting that one person or those two people that are going to help me boost my career or expand my network or make a contact? Virtually impossible. So they're out there. The people are out there, but you have to find them. You have to search for them, and that 5 out of 100, they're waiting for you. You're waiting for them. It's your job to find them. Their job to find you.
Jack, question. So, for example, if we're going on an event, whether it's a business or a conference or no matter, so we talk. You make a very good point in which people are we trying to find. Now, for example, do we need to research the people? So, are we going there? So, like, I want to meet that person. I need to research him, or are we just going to, we don't know who we are going to meet?
Good question. Depends on what you're looking at to accomplish. If I know that the chief executive officer of BlackBerry, and I'm one of the last people on the planet to use a BlackBerry, is going to be at the event, I'm going to find out some interesting things about BlackBerry. I'm going to find out if they're being bought, sold, where the stock is, what's happening, who their partners are, and I'll look to meet that person. I don't have to do a lot of research on them, but if I know they're there, I'm going to find out who knows them and who I could find out can get me in contact with that person. That's my goal, to meet that one person there. If it's not, if you just go in there to socialize and have a good time, then we'll get into how to do that and what to do, how to give out business cards and so forth.
Do people go on networking events to find jobs or
Yes.
to... Yes.
Indirectly, yes. Directly, yes. There are events geared just for looking for work. I've been to many events where 50 companies set up their trade show booths and they're looking for candidates, they're looking for employees. I've gone to so many trade shows that I could probably write a book on them. So there's certain things that happen at trade shows. Once you start a conversation with a person at a trade show booth will have an executive from the company and or sometimes the owner of the company if it's not a large company. When you start into conversation with these people, if you know how to start the conversation and lead the conversation, you could find out whether they're hiring, they're firing, or they're not doing anything. And if you're looking to work in that industry, you don't have a resume handy with you and say, how you doing? Here's my name. It's Zach. Here's a resume for you. That's not exactly how you want to do it. But you'd want to get the person's information and do a follow-up. So you can find work at trade shows. You can find work at networking events. You can find work anywhere as long as you have the ability to start a conversation and ask questions.
Okay, let's just stick around a bit for a moment on for example, finding work through networking. So, but yeah. My question is, many people think that networking is all about, I need a job, I want to meet Jack. Jack, my main reason is I need you to help me to get a job. So is that the mindset, or is the mindset something else? So as you said, so
75% of the people are going to be looking for 20% of those people will follow you around knowing that you have something that they want. These people you don't have time for. The 5% of the people you meet will tell you what they can offer you in terms of value. When I meet someone, I look at what they do, what kind of business they're involved in, and I try to make a connection. So for example, let's say I know someone in an industry that requires a video to be taken, a 30-second video to promote their company, either online, YouTube, or on a TV commercial. And I know someone that does that very well at a very high level. So when I meet this person, I would say, do you realize that you can expose yourself to probably another 25 to 30,000 people that want your product and service if you had a very good 30-second commercial? I actually know somebody that did it for someone else. I highly recommend them, and I don't mind giving you their information. So what you just did is you just gave them something without asking for them to give you anything back in return. What that is called giving a goodwill deposit. Tom Stoyan talked about that, and it's like going to a bank. Have you ever gone to a bank, Zach, and you don't have an account there, and you don't have any money there, but you go to the teller and say, I would like to take €100 out, please. And they will usually either call the police or ask you to leave, one of the two. So
Okay.
if you don't have any money in your account, then how much can you take out? The answer is zero. But if you made deposits over 5 times or 10 times that you met this person, or 5 events that you've gone to, or you've talked this person and you've gave him something, you made a deposit, you show that you're trustworthy, then at that point you might be able to say, by the way, my name is Zach, and I specialize in making 30-second promotional videos for companies. Here's a list of 3 I've done work for, and number 2, we're about the best in the industry, competitive on price, and I'm willing to show you examples. If you know anyone, that you have any friends that are interested, please let me know. And you walk away, you say thank you. That's your 30-second commercial. At that point, he knows, okay, Zach's done some work for some people I know. He's mentioned some high-profile companies, Adidas, Nike, Diadora. These are real companies. Now I could trust him and maybe referring him to someone else. Mistake people make, Zach, is when they go to an event, the first thing they do is tell them, I sell life insurance and I want to sell you some life insurance. Would you like to buy some life insurance? Now, when you see those people, you see the other people running as fast as they can the other way, every direction, looking for an exit. So back to the point, look to make goodwill deposits. Everyone's looking for work in one way or another. It's the way it's presented. People want to buy, they don't want to be sold. I want to buy Zach. I don't want Zach to force himself on me. I want you to tell me what you've done. I want you to tell me some success stories, and I want you to show me what, maybe you expose me to your network. Say, by the way, Jack, I know some people that buy and sell exotic cars. We have a friend that's selling a Ferrari. He has an IT company. Can you help him with that? And people that know me know that I buy and sell exotic cars as well. I have that business background as well. So that's how we work.
Yes, excellent. So basically, exactly what you said. I was more talking about getting a job, so not like promoting something that you do, but unemployed people getting a job. So, but even in that case, you need to approach somebody with the mindset, "What can I do for you?" and not immediately drag them by the hand and say, "I need something from you," or "I need something." You know, here I
The
am.
new,
Just do
the
something with
new,
me.
the new way of doing business is called a consultative approach, which is, tell me what your pain is. Let's see what your needs are. Here's what I can do. I might be able to help you. I might not. I don't know. This is our offering. Let's see if we can make a match here and there's a fit. The old way of selling is that I have the best computer on the planet. Forget about IBM. Forget about Dell. I got the best computer, and you want to buy it. Take it. Here's the price. Hurry up. I got to go. That doesn't
Yeah.
work anymore. People are too educated. So when you have a consultant, and I have a lot of IT friends that I know personally, and the way they look for work is not the way that other people look for work. They offer extremely high value to their end user, and at that point, the person wants to buy. Here's what I've done. Here's how much money I've saved them. I'm available immediately. I'm actually between contracts, or I'm finishing off a contract in the next 6 months. Here's 3 or 4 people you could talk to that have worked with me and that can vouch for me. Please tell me about what your business is. Tell me about what your pain is, what your needs are.
Fantastic, fantastic advice. Okay, let's get back to networking. So we know that we want to go to a business event, or to a business specific event. We know that maybe we want to meet a specific person, but we are also looking for other people that can extend our network. So apart from the checklist, we're already at the event. How do we start? So I don't
All
know
right.
anybody.
Okay, so you got the checklist. You got your pants on. You're not wearing sunglasses and a t-shirt, so everything's good. When you go up to someone, what has worked for me, and I give this disclaimer every time I do a talk, is that this is what's worked for me. It might not work for you. Take away what works for you and modify it to your own experiences. I'm an extrovert. I'm a type A personality. I don't mind going up to people and introducing myself. If these people don't like me, then I don't have to waste time with them in the future. But I go up to people. It's easy for me. If it's not easy for you, if you're a person that is shy or doesn't know what to say, and you're not sure what to say or how to say it, here's a couple of tips. Icebreakers. Number one, you go up to someone and say, I'm at this networking event. One of the rules is I have to meet 5 people. So you're the first person that I'm meeting. My name is Jack, and I'm more than happy to tell you what I do. Please, if you have a business card, please show me, tell me what you do. So the first thing you could say as an icebreaker is, I was told to network. I was told to meet people. I'm here. I'm playing by the rules. My name is Zach. I'm happy to meet you. You look them in the eye, shake their hand. So you put the stress and the onus on the event or someone else, or you could say, you know what, Zach's a friend of mine. He told me to introduce myself to people. I'm doing that. My name is Jack, and I'm more than happy to meet you. At that point, all the stress is gone because the person's saying, well, he's just like me. He's here to meet people just like I am. Now, when I go out with my guy friends, they have a problem introducing themselves to women. So I'm usually the guy doing the introductions. So I'll go up to the girls and I don't have a problem and saying hi. My friends over there, they can't speak English. They would like to say hi to you, so I'm saying hi to them for you. So I make up some funny thing and it's over. The ice is broken and we can move on from there. Another thing that you could do when you go up to someone at an event is give them a compliment. Everyone has an ego. Me, you, all your listeners, you go up to them and say, listen, by the way, I think you're the sharpest dressed person here. And male or female, it doesn't have to be just a person of the opposite sex. And they're going to say, you know what? I spent $500 in the suit, and finally someone noticed how much money I spent on this stupid thing. So thank you for that. A compliment, introducing yourself by someone else's way of saying it's not my event, but I'm here to network. I'm here to meet someone. That's two things. When I do a party, when I do an event, I have a 5 business card rule, and I put that on the list of questions, and I'll briefly go into that. When I do an event, it's usually a free event. So I'm a president of a chamber of commerce in the Polish community in Toronto. We hold events at the consulate, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything. So I tell people when they come in, I go, there's a 5 business card rule. And people say, what is that? I say, by the end of the day, you have to have 5 business cards before you leave. If you don't, then you have to pay me $50. And that's the rule. So that usually works well, and they use me as the person to say, listen, I don't want to meet you. You don't like me. I don't like you, but I need your business card because Jack says I have to meet you. So whatever the way of doing it is, if it's you being funny, if it's you having to go outside your comfort zone. Zach, let me tell you something. When I go up to someone, even if it's someone I don't know, there's always that, second of should I, shouldn't I? I'm not sure. Maybe it's better if I just go to the washroom and lock myself in there. You have to have that one moment where you're going to jump over the bridge and say, all right, have you ever gone to an event? Have you ever met someone where you've done something that you didn't want to do? You've gone outside your comfort zone. You stuck your hand out. You introduced yourself, and then you said, "Man, that wasn't that hard." Or now look, I got this relationship because I had, the energy, the initiative to meet that person. No one is going to do it for you. Believe me, I'm not at an event. I'm not going to pull your hand out of your pocket, and I'm not going to shake the person's hand. You have to do that yourself. But I'm going to tell you that I've never had a situation where someone says, you know what, I don't want to talk to you. I don't like your hairstyle, and you dress funny. I've never had that happen.
I know exactly what you mean. I've been talking to people that I went to my first conference about 3 years ago, and it was an IT conference, and it was the first event of this kind that I went to. Before that, I worked in a bank, and it was a very this kind of a job. So
Yep.
I invested in myself when I started working online. I went to a conference, and I started meeting people. I started meeting not just people that went to a conference like me, but I actually went to speakers and introduced myself.
Yes.
and said that, and I was amazed. And I'm telling to every webinar I'm mentioning, go up to people. We don't mind meeting new people. We love to share. I was amazed with the amount of information that they want to share freely. It was not there on some high pedestal, and I was kind of low here. And what do you want? So I talked to you on my on my speech. So why are you asking me these questions?
Yep.
But actually, they want to listen to you. They want to give advice. They want to help you personally.
Zach, let me tell you a trick that I've learned, and I don't know how else to tell you this, but you have to ask. Ask people 1,000 questions. Be curious. Ask them about their industry. They want to brag. They want to tell you about how good they are. They want to tell you how good their company is. They want to tell you about their success stories. Their ego is now available for you to listen. Now, when you talk to someone that's either a VIP or high profile or famous or a celebrity, you may have the feeling that, who am I to talk to them? They are so famous. They are so high profile. They've done so much in their career. This is a person that's a vice president of a billion-dollar company. Just like you said earlier, they're more than happy to spend 5 minutes with you and tell you things. And usually, they're going to tell you exactly how they did it. They're going to tell you what not to do. They're going to tell you the mistakes they made. And they're going to tell you, if you ask them, who are your influences? Who are the people that you listen to? Who are the people that guided you in your career? They're going to give you the top 5 consultants that they read, listen to, and follow. I don't know any person that's a multi-millionaire that has ever said, Jack, that's classified information. If I tell you, I'm going to have to kill you. I will not share that with you because I know that if I tell you how to do this, you're going to now start a computer company and you're going to put me out of business tomorrow. Believe me, it's the last thing I want to do. I really don't care to compete with a multi-million-dollar company. So what he's going to do is going to tell you a lot of things that you don't think that you would normally get from a person of that high profile. You have to have some initiative. Zach, I could teach you all you guys, all I know about networking, communicating, meeting people, connecting, but someone eventually has to have the initiative to go up to someone and say, hi, my name is Peter, my name is Boyan, my name is Mia, I'm interested in speaking to you about XYZ. Do you have a minute to share with me? I don't know anyone that's going to say no to that.
Excellent. Yes. So can you tell me something about what is the law of 506 degrees of separation?
Ah, very good. Law of 500. Now, the law of 500 was a term that was coined many years ago because a salesman said that when you talk to someone and they don't want to buy your product or service, don't discount that person. A lot of us will say, you know what, Jack's not interested in buying professional videography for commercials. He's just not in that business. I know he does other stuff, so thank you, goodbye. But what you just did is you closed the door to 500 people that I know that might be interested in buying your product or service. Just because I ask a lot of questions to a lot of people when I meet them, I want to find out quickly what they do. I'm now exposed to IT opportunities, which I'll tell your listeners shortly. I would have never found out about them if I didn't ask. The law of 500 says that every person knows 500 people. Now, that's not 500 friends on Facebook or 5,000 friends on Facebook. These are people that you actually know. In my case, it's a lot more than 500. I know probably 10 times that amount of people just because my network is so big, and this is what I focused on, building my network. I don't have a cat. I don't have a dog. I got a few plants here. I focus on networking. So it could be a law of 5,000. It could be a law of 50. Some of your listeners might know 50 people, but those 50 people might be interested in what I'm. A lot of people just be. Go ahead.
No, sorry. You were kind of frozen for a moment. Are you still?
No problem. I'm here. The 6 degrees of separation states that within 6 levels of contacts, you can get to almost anybody on the planet. Now, I've tried that with myself. I didn't believe it, and I actually can get to people pretty much anywhere on the planet, maybe in less than 6, but usually in 6. The most is 7. So very well known in a lot of different areas, and he knows Donald Trump very well. So Donald Trump knows a lot of other people. So within 3 degrees, I'm already at the president level if I need to be. That doesn't mean I can pick up the phone and call him, but I know those people who know those people. So understand that now, if I know you and I need a contact somewhere in Serbia who knows somebody somewhere at level of government, I might be able to get that through you, and that's only 2 degrees. So 6 degrees of separation simply means within 6 levels of knowing people, you can get to anyone on the planet.
Excellent. Fantastic. So basically, how do you leverage that? So how do you what is your experience in actually getting through those 6 levels,
Yep.
and how many people do want to, for example, cooperate? So when, okay, first level, second level, in that sense. So
Yep.
can you really get to 6 levels without people, or with
You
people
have to, yeah, it's a very
wanting to
good
help you?
question, Zach. Yeah, you have to be, I'm a gatekeeper of my contacts, and you're a gatekeeper of your contacts. So if I have someone call me up, which happens every other day, someone's trying to sell multi-level marketing, and I don't have a problem with multi-level marketing, but I'm not going to be selling soap and tissue paper and toothpaste to my close friends and family. I just don't do it. That's just not my thing. But these people want to contact you and they want your contacts. So everybody on a regular basis is trying to get through me to get to my contacts. And I'm a gatekeeper. Just like these people that I contact, for example, if I contact Jim and I say, Jim, I want to contact Donald Trump, he's going to say, well, I need to protect my contact. What do you need to contact them for? So I actually did contact Donald Trump on a venture I was doing through another project, and that was because I had value and I had a strong offering for him. It can't be just I want to talk to this person to try to get some work from them, or I want to give him my information. They will protect those contacts. The higher you get, the harder it's going to get.
And Jack, who doesn't need to network? Who
Oh,
doesn't
good
need to
question.
create
Good question.
contacts?
I was born in Poland, and back in the day, as some of your listeners would know, it was a communist regime. So any company, any government that you really don't have any choices in purchasing their product or service doesn't need to network. So if I need a telephone installed in my apartment, and this is 40 years ago, there was no cell phone technology, so I had to go to the government to get a telephone. So anyone that doesn't have competition doesn't need to network. Government associations, anyone that's on in an area where there's not much competition. Now, that being said, I don't know of too many industries that don't have competition, Zach. So, getting back to everybody needs to network. I'm a
Okay.
proponent of networking, as you know.
And we talked about everybody knowing quite a few number of people, and everybody has his own network. So how do you tap into other people's network?
Good point. Good point. How do you tap into other people's network? You have to have a value proposition. You have to be a very strong advocate of what you can do for other people. I know a lawyer that's a good lawyer. He's not the best lawyer, but he's a good lawyer. What he does is he makes himself available to every single media outlet, TV, radio, newspapers, internet, anybody, immediately. So if I call him right now and I need a comment on this type of law, he's available immediately. So one of the ways to tap into someone's network is to make sure that you have good information and you're always available. So for example, if I know Zach is involved in media and he's involved in commercials, I need to reach him. If there's an easy way of reaching him and I know that he responds to his text messages within 1 minute, that is now building credibility for you, and that slowly allows me to use you as a source. None of this happens automatically. Anyone has a garden in their house. I know Serbia is full of beautiful plants and gardens and forests. If you cultivate the garden and you make it grow, it's going to give you rewards. If you let that garden go without weeding it, without nurturing it, it's not going to give you any rewards. So you have to build your network. You have to cultivate your network. You have to grow your network. And that takes time. All this that I'm talking about here, I have 10,000 people I know. None of it happened overnight. This is over 25 years. And it was a slow process, but it was very rewarding. And now when I pick up the phone or someone picks up the phone to call me, I make things happen, and people know that when they call me, it's credibility. So tap into someone else's network by showing that you're always available, you can be contacted, and you have a value proposition. Here's what I can do for you. How can I help? If you are a person that's always asking, I need this, help me here, help me there, you're not going to be able to tap into other people's network, because Zach's going to say, listen, I don't want Jack calling me anymore because he's trying to sell all my friends Amway. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with Amway, but I'm not going to do it. So that's not the way you tap into someone's network. You offer them value, you offer to help them, ask them how you can help. Here's what I'm working on. If you have anybody that you know that is working on something like this or can add to it, please let me know. That's a way of tapping it.
And you also need to be very active in the sense of delivering what you're saying, right? So not just on words.
Donald Trump says it's not bragging if you could back it up. Now, he was on TV last night, and I'm not sure everything he's saying is good because he's a crazy guy. But I seen him speak. I seen him speak in front of 5,000 people, and he was bragging about everything he's ever done from the day he was born. I think he took credit for his mother delivering him because he's very, very pronounced that way. But he could back it up. He could back up everything that he says. So when I talk about I know this person, I know that person, and I snap my fingers, I pick up the phone, and I connect Zach with that person here, there, I make it happen. So credibility is very important.
Okay, so another question. What is the hidden job market?
Oh, very good question, Zach. The hidden job market is it's the job that's posted online or the job that's posted on a job board that is already taken before you have even applied for it. So there's a very good position at a technology company in your hometown. All of a sudden, there's 500 applications, and someone else got the job. Who got the job? The person that's connected. Sometimes human resources has to put the job application out there to make it look like it's a legitimate posting, but they already had the candidate picked out. And the candidate is the person that has been connecting, has been networking, and has been building value in that position for the last 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be.
Fantastic point. I want to stick on this because there is quite a bit of experience in Serbia that many people believe in that getting jobs requires connections, and not in the sense of connections that we're talking about right now that I want to stress, but in making connections through bribe or through political connections or something like that. And there are a lot of jobs that, as you say, the HR needs to post a job, but somebody got it because he's a friend of a friend or a cousin of a cousin or something like that. But I'm stressing to people, and what you're also saying, that networking is also about creating connections in a good way. So not in the sense of bribes, not in the sense of political connections, but maybe that person got it because he's building his reputations for the past 2 years, as you said, or 6 months, and he's actually the best person for the job, or at least he's the best person that that the CEO or the HR knows that they want to hire him because they know him.
The connection, the network will get you in the door. It might even open the door. The person at the government level or at the CEO or the president's level does not want to make a fool out of themselves. So just because Zach recommended Jack comes in the interview because you said Jack knows what he's talking about, the president still has to make sure that I know what I'm doing. So I don't care who you still have to have very highly regarded skills. You have to know what you're doing, and your resume then will be important. Now, in the entertainment industry, in Hollywood, it's all about networking. People know somebody that gets them the position, but they have to be also talented in acting or whatever else they do. So yes, it happens. I was born in Poland, and it was a fact of doing business. Whether you had 5 degrees, 10 degrees, PhD, MBA, the person knew somebody that was connected to government had a better chance than you did. But these days, output is very important. So when you put something out on the net and your customer says you did a fantastic job and you have 10 other clients that said that Zach is the best guy in the business, yes, connections are great, but you also know what you have to know what you're doing. You have to be highly qualified, and you have to offer a lot of value.
Because you mentioned that you put yourself out there, and today everything's online, I just want your opinion, because we already talked about this on many occasions. So how important it is that you maintain your basically profile, but both offline and online. So for example, can you have a Facebook page where you're totally like a drunk and like acting like a teenager, and then present yourself as a serious business person, or expect to be treated like a serious business person? And what is your take on that?
Zach, fantastic question. And the first place people look employers is on Facebook. If they see you upside down in a pool with a gallon of vodka in your mouth, they don't think that you're the right person to represent their company. Now, back in the day, I'm not that old, but I'm older than some of the people listening. You had a camera, You took pictures, you developed the pictures, and you put the pictures in a photo album, and that's where the crazy pictures stayed. Okay, if you want to come over and have a beer with me and we took a look at our memories from these parties, not a problem. But as soon as you post something like that on the internet, expect everyone's going to see it. So I'm not going to hire you, and I don't know anyone else with credibility who's going to hire you, because they don't want to risk their brand being tarnished by hiring someone who's a party animal. I would keep those pictures to yourself. On my Facebook, it's one picture. I don't post a lot. I now have just people that I know, and they're tasteful. I'm not embarrassed of them, but I don't have pictures with 25 girls in a party, and then I talk about having credibility. So short answer is, don't post like that, stuff like that on the internet, unless that's your goal, is to be socially accepted in the party atmosphere and you're young. If you're a little bit older, why do that? I don't know what benefit it is for anyone.
Okay, I have 3 more questions for you.
Excellent.
And then we can stick to questions from the audience. Please,
excellent.
If there are questions from the audience, please send us in chat, and we can answer them at the end of the show. So, Jack, you mentioned something. So, what is no business cards versus 1,000 business cards?
Oh, I love this one. Thank you for asking that, Jack. No business cards. My teacher, Tom Stoyan, I have never in the 15 years I've known him seen him with a business card. He doesn't. I don't think he knows what one looks like. He has a pencil and a piece of paper. If you want him, you know who he is. He already comes highly qualified, highly referred, and you're asking for his information. Zach, can I please have your number? I'm looking for a piece of paper to scribble it down on my hand on a small napkin, because I want to connect with you. I met you in an event. I go, I cannot now live without doing business with you. So that's zero business card. You have so much value that I don't need a business card. Now, 1,000 business cards. It's funny because I talk to some insurance agents and I talk to some real estate agents, and they're making 1,000 business cards a week. And I go, where are you putting them? Are you starting a fire with these business cards? Are you throwing them outside an airplane? I'm just curious. Are you keeping the printing industry in business? So they go to every single store they go to. They go to the coffee shop. They go to a donut shop. They go to a restaurant. They go to a car facility. They go to a repair facility. And they put 500 business cards on the table right in front of the cash. And I will tell you the effects of this type of marketing. It is better if you throw them in the garbage. You'll get more results. Because I'm not going to fix my car and look for a lawyer, or I'm not going to a coffee shop and look for an IT consultant unless I know who you are. What business is it of another company promoting your product or service if it's not come from a referral? I don't need to do that. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have business cards. I selectively give out my business cards. And here's a trick. When you're not at an event, have just a couple business cards in a small spot, and then have a lot in another pocket. So you always have a business card to give out. But when you only have 1 or 2, and the person asks you for your business card, say, I only have 2 business cards left, and I'm going to give you 1. So that makes it a lot more valuable than, here's 500 business cards, Zach. Take them and please hand them out for me. Now, these are those 25 people that you never want to see again, right?
Yep. Okay. So the important question on networking. So how do we monetize the connections?
Oh, you asked the really good questions. I'm not sure where you got these questions, but I have to compliment you on these questions. How do you monetize the connection? There's 3 levels of monetizing a connection, and I've made this mistake many times. If you're just giving a simple connection, for example, let's just use buying and selling houses. So Zach knows somebody who's selling a very expensive house, and he calls me. I deal with people who buy and sell estates around the world, and I say, Zach, thank you very much. And Zach gave me a 10 million euro estate to sell on the sea off your coast. And I said, thank you. Thanks, Zach. Have a good day. Now, you might have been expecting something from that. If you didn't tell me first what you would want, then I don't know. How do you monetize that? You say, Jack, I know somebody who's selling an estate for 10 million euro. I'm not a real estate agent. I don't know what is going to happen. You might buy it, you might sell it, it might go nowhere, but I'm expecting a finder's fee for my work. So that finder's fee could be 1%, that finder's could be $10,000, that finder's fee could be negotiated between the two of you. So the first level is my contact is going to give me a finder's fee for what I do. Say, for example, I send you, Zach, BlackBerry, and BlackBerry is a billion-dollar Canadian company, and now they use your services. And Zach says, Jack, thank you very much. I'm going to send you a bottle of wine from our region. And I might say, well, I just made you $10 million, Zach. I expect a lot more than a bottle of wine. But if we don't tell that at the beginning, we don't know. The second level of monetizing a connection is now that I'm involved in the project. Zach, I'm going to send you a client who is interested in a 30-second short video, but I want to be involved in it. I want to be involved in the production of it. I want to be involved in the storyline. I want to be involved in the consulting of you and him working together. Now my percentage is a lot larger. The third one is I'm an investor. Zach, here's a project that we can work on together. I'm putting in 10%. If you're putting in 10%, we can work on something. But if it's just you and me working together, this is what I'm putting in. I'm now expected to get a lot more out. So the three levels are simple contact. Second level is what percentage do I want from it? And third level is now I'm an investor in the project. So monetizing a contact. Now, one more thing you have to be careful of. If you go into a relationship saying right off the bat, I'm expecting something for this, you might lose people who might give you a contact. So be careful when you go into a relationship saying, hi, my name is Zach. Anyone I introduce you to, I expect to get paid for, and they need to contact me immediately. You're going to turn a lot of people off. So monetizing a connection is depending on the situation, and the way I do it now is that there's three levels. First level is here's a contact. If it comes out, I expect to get something. Or you might say, I don't want anything from this. I just want to give you the contact. So there's different levels of monetizing.
What can we expect, or how often can we expect that people value our, for example, goodwill deposit without us asking anything in return?
Go ahead.
Now, how often can we expect that they really value and at one point, not immediately, but at one point repay it in some way?
Okay, some of you are religious, some of you believe in karma, some of you believe in good people are going to have good things happen to them, and there's other people are going to believe that no matter what you do, don't look for a repayment, it's not going to happen, or it might not. The short answer is tell someone at the outset, this is what your expectations are. I'm going to give you 3 leads of people that might be customers for you. My expectations are at least you will follow up with me in the next 3 to 6 months. Tell me where you are. I want to know whether you're doing business with them, if there's anything I can get involved with, and if there's someone else that I can introduce you to. If someone doesn't thank you for the contact, move on, because now you know that they're not going to thank you in the future. But if they now know that you're expecting to at least get thanked, appreciated, or compensated, then they might now know that, you know, Zach is expecting me to follow up. I have people I've introduced people to that have made $1 million. Zach, I'm still to this day waiting for a bottle of wine or to be taken for lunch. They're not going to do it, and I know that. So the risk of you sitting at home and saying, you know what, these people in Serbia, they've gone through a lot. I know they're not going to thank me. These people in Toronto, they're all in it for themselves. They're not going to thank me. I'm not going to stick my neck out for anybody else. Guess what? You're not going to get any contacts. Your network isn't going to build. You have to take that risk of meeting people and talking to people, even though they might not thank you. It's nice to get appreciated, but it might not happen.
Excellent, excellent. And basically, the point of the fact is that we all have to make goodwill deposits. Only good things come out of them, and if no things come out of them, that's even okay. And if you need anything, ask or be very clear about what you're doing or asking, because that's the only way people know about it. So Jack, thank you very much for all of this insight into your experiences with networking. And I wish to go to the questions right now because we have some incoming. And
Zach, before
yeah,
we go to the questions, I'm just going to wrap up, and I want to make sure
sure.
people know a few things before we go to the questions. One of the things is when you're networking, one of the most important things is to understand that we go from visibility to credibility to profitability. One of the top consultants in the world, his name is Jack Canfield, uses that when he talks about networking. So you go from visibility to credibility to profitability. Some people just want to go from I came to the event, how do I make money? They're missing that step of credibility. In order to supercharge your network, you must make yourself available, reliable, and as a very high resource to them. Ask how you can help. So that's wrapping up that, and please with the questions.
Excellent and very good points in that. So I do apologize on not wrapping up with that. So let's go to the first question. So after the initial approach, what are the good strategies to maintain a good communication, good connections, business or private, for a longer period of time?
Excellent question. I see that the people in Serbia are really looking forward to building their networks and making them stronger. One of the things that were the biggest mistakes people make, and I've researched this myself, the biggest one is not following up. And it came up number 1 or 2 on about 10 different forums. So in terms of making yourself in their mind and keeping yourself visible, it's called a touch. If you can maintain a touch, whether it's either physically meeting them somewhere or sending them a note or saying, I remember something that you talked about, here's something else that you can look at. One of the things that I specialize in is remembering fine, minute details about either conversation or the person or something that they talked about. And when you contact them back and you mention that you remember, you know what, that was one of the most fantastic stories you've ever told me about how you lost $1 million. Or I remember that suit that you wore. Can you tell me where you get that suit? Because I'm looking for tailor. And you stood out in the event. You were the best dressed business person there. When you mention a very small, minute detail about that person in the follow-up conversation, all of a sudden they're going to remember you. So one way of doing that is by doing that. Another way of having them remembering you is by inviting them to an event. Say, I met you at an IT conference. I know of something happening online, and one of the biggest Google partners in all of Europe is going to be speaking online, no cost. Would you like to be invited to this webinar? And I personally know Zach. Zach's as a top guy. He has these great speakers on. Would you like to be invited to a webinar like that? So giving back, showing value, showing initiative to the person that you met will strengthen that relationship. You're looking for a way, if you want to have a long-term relationship with that person, always be in touch. If you call them once every 2 years, they won't remember who you are.
Mm.
Okay?
And I just want to touch back. So you immediately went to follow up. So if the question was about how to continue the conversation after the initial approach, we talked about that. So ask questions. If you don't have a topic, just ask questions about their business, right?
Be curious. I love other people's businesses. I know that there's something that business does that makes the world a better place. I want to find out the exact thing that they do or they sell, what product or service they're involved in that makes people's lives better. Everybody's changing someone's life in one way. When I find that out, the person will talk to you for hours about this topic. You're going to have to say, thank you, but I got a wife and kids, I got to go home. So as soon as you find out what they do that they're interested in and they love doing, their passion, they'll talk forever. As soon as they see that you care about them and you're interested in what they talk about, then when you give in your business card, they're going to write a note on there, cool guy, connect with him again, go on my LinkedIn, or let's exchange numbers. If you don't get that, then you're doing something wrong.
Okay, I got a question here. I'm waiting to hear the answer, so this is a good one. Jack, can you share with us some odd networking situation you've been in?
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna have to contact my lawyer and see what he says in order to odd networking situations. I've been to a networking event where absolutely everybody was just looking at selling whatever they had to sell. It was like a feeding frenzy for that one person that had connections, that had some position, that had some money, and it wasn't a fun place to be. But what I learned from that is that people go in there with the wrong expectations. If you go to a networking event expecting to get a job or expecting to sell your product or service immediately, you're going for the wrong reason. If you go into a networking event to explain to someone what you do and ask them how you can help them, you're going there for the right reason. Now, I've been to some events where um, I've come highly recommended, and people come looking to speak to me. So I'm at the other end of the shoot, where I'm trying to seek out the right person to fit with my situation. Now, when you come to me with what you do, what you can do, who you know, and you come to me with a proper positioning statement, I will now open you up to my network. I get people calling me every other day. I have a girl who's looking for a guy. I have a guy who's looking for a girl. I have a guy who's looking for a girl that has kids. I have a girl who's looking for a guy who has kids. So I put these people together. Some people are dating. I don't get guarantee relationships, but I get phone calls all the time. A young lady met with me a month ago, and she's very attractive, and she goes, I'm looking for a job. I said, I don't know if I can help you. I know some people in the modeling industry, but it's not my specialty. She goes, no, I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer. I have 5 degrees. I said, well, you're the best looking engineer I've ever seen in my life. So what did I do? I contacted a friend of mine who has a manufacturing facility in Toronto, and I said, I have somebody for you who I think would fit in your company. I didn't tell him she's very attractive. He interviewed her and hired her on the spot. Now, I'm not sure whether her looks had anything to do with it or her degree, but the connections that I make, and this is in the last 3 weeks, work. Once I get you in my network, once I find out what you do, once I find out who I can connect you with, the magic starts. And my phone rings constantly off the hook. And I'm more than happy to help anybody. If there's somebody in Serbia that's ever in Toronto that wants to see the sites, I will give them a list of all the places that I would go to, and I will tell them where not to go to. If you're ever at the airport, I'm gonna give you guys a little hint. I use this when I do my speeches and my public speaking, so don't take it personally. I love the Serbians. When I finish my talk, I usually say, Zach, if you're ever in Toronto, if you're at the airport, you need a ride to the hotel, you ever need some money, some place to stay, please don't call me.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay, next question. So, how do you build a solid level of communication on LinkedIn social network in the sense of self-promotion if we are, for example, seeking a job opportunity?
LinkedIn has become, I think, the #1 portal for people looking for work or companies that have positions to offer, primarily because they can do some background research on you. So when they go on my profile and they see the people that I know, and they see the people that have referred me, and they see the people that have said good things about me, now they know that they have some credibility. Before, it was just a 2-page resume and they're taking their chances. So how do you build yourself on LinkedIn? One of my colleagues, Perry Sean, she's a specialist at LinkedIn, and she studies LinkedIn, and she knows how to make herself available on LinkedIn to people that are in her target market. Quick answer, study online. There's a lot of resources on how to make yourself visible on LinkedIn. Do not just add people that you don't know. It's not going to help you. These people don't know who you are. They've never met you. They're not going to refer you. It's just going to muddy up the waters. Connect with people on LinkedIn, and also, if you know them, refer them. Say you've done work with them. Here's what you know that they are good at doing, and that will help them then refer you and also give you credibility. So it works both ways.
Okay, fantastic. So next question, how to approach people online? We're unable to contact CEOs via social networks or even find their emails or emails of other important people in the companies. So how do we get to those people if we don't have a network?
Okay, in Serbia, you have to pay off the government and have connections. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
How do you get to CEOs? I know middle managers and high-level executives that don't even see the CEO unless it's at a Christmas party or a function where it's an anniversary for the event. It's very hard to get to these people. They have 2 or 3 levels of gatekeepers. Even if they respond to a letter with you, it's usually an assistant that will write the letter and they will sign it. you have to have a reason for contacting the CEO. If it's of great importance to the company, they'll find a way of getting back to you. If it's just because you want a job, or a contract, there's better ways of getting to that company. The CEO rarely makes that decision or that call unless it's a smaller company. There is a group called Young Professionals, and there's also another group called Tech. Young Presidents Association, I believe it's called YPO. The other one is called Tech in the United States, called Vistage, Vistage. YPO and Vistage. Now, if you want to get to executives, CEOs, and presidents of companies, they all hang out there. The problem is the cost of getting to these events is very high. They have monthly meetings, and to be accepted even into these meetings, you have to have a company that is at a certain level. But when you join Vistage or Tech in Canada or YPO, you can meet with these people, and the amount of business you could do from these associations is incredible. A typical membership to one of these associations is 15,000 US a year. So I also heard of a story of someone saying whenever they travel, they always travel first class. So regular ticket might be 600 euro or 300 euro, and a first class ticket might be 1,500 euro. Now, you just spent 1,000 euro more than what you should for the ticket. But what you did is you're now sitting with people in that airplane that either own a company or can afford to fly at that level, and you have now, instead of 15 seconds or 30 seconds or 2 minutes, you have 7 to 8 hours to find out what their needs are, and you might be able to be exposed to their network. I can tell you a lot of stories of people that made a lot of money by sitting in the first class section of an airplane.
I just want to mention to people that we go back to self-initiative. So don't spend 1,500 euros if you're just going to sit in your seat and
That's
sleep.
right. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Or on
You're
the other
absolutely
hand,
right.
or on the other hand, don't sell everything that you have, or you might just fly out
Zach,
the
Zach,
expense to.
I know that you have a very talented group out there that is extremely good at what they do. It's not a secret that the IT sector in Eastern Europe and Serbia and parts of Poland and Hungary is extremely well versed on the internet. They're in many cases ahead of North America by 6 months to a year. The problem is I don't know who you are. I don't
Yeah.
know where you are. I don't know what you look like. No one has contacted me. The people that I'm representing, the contracts that I have currently that are open, are people that I've asked, what are you involved in? Or they have come to me and said, Jack, here's 3 projects we're involved in. Do you know anybody that can help us? Or can you tell me what you know about this? So I have 4 projects currently right now. One in the Ukraine with an IT company, one in Poland, they're looking for a manager for all of Poland for IT, one in Toronto for a company that's looking for an app to be developed, and one in Israel where there's companies that specialize in telecom software. These are companies I've either found out that they're doing business or want to do business. I don't know who your listeners are. I don't know who the group is that's really active in Serbia, but I would like to. If you don't reach out to me, and if you don't make an effort to network and socialize and promote yourself, how am I going to find out who you are?
Okay, question on that. So from me, so basically now the all of the audience and everybody looking at the recording know you and know what you do in that sense. So, but for example, there are more people like you in that. There are more opportunities. How can people basically maybe it's not good to say advertise themselves, but how people from, for example, exactly from Serbia, how do we reach out to the world?
Good question. Now you're competing with Bangalore. People in IT know where Bangalore is, and I believe there is 1 million IT professionals in that city alone. I think India produces 500,000 to 1 million graduates a year in IT. Now we call MasterCard in Toronto, and I get a call center in Bangalore, and the person speaks perfect English, helping me with my situation. So you're now living in a global community. Good news. Bad news is you're competing with everybody.
Yeah.
You're competing with Poland. You're competing with China, not as much, but you're competing with India primarily. United States, you can compete on price, but not maybe on certain other areas. How does someone in Serbia get out of their community? Very good question. One of the ways of doing it is getting online with forums like this. If someone knows 10 people like me, you're going to do very well, because those 10 people like me who know 5,000 people, all of a sudden you're at 50,000 people that might want to buy your product or service. How does someone get a hold of me? Email me. I live on text. I get 100 to 200 text messages a day. Uh, Friends, personal, family, business opportunities all the time. Everybody knows that I'm the contact. If you want something done, I'll find the person. If you want something bought or sold, I know where to go. Um, Networking, connecting. You got to start somewhere. Zach, there's no silver bullet other than spending $100,000 on marketing yourself in the mainstream media, which anybody can do. It's not easy. This is grassroots, hardcore, one-on-one selling. Once you build your network, you have a strong network, people are going to start referring you. The good news is you have LinkedIn, you have Facebook, you have all these different forums for people in IT to start developing their network. But as you know, when you started out, it wasn't easy.
Definitely, definitely, and it isn't easy still. So I'm working with for a company that we're actually doing all kinds of marketing, and it's not easy to get leads and connections and stuff like that. Jack, can I ask you a direct question? Can I
Sure.
at the end of the webinar below on so everybody watching from tomorrow will be on our YouTube channel. Can we post your email? Can we post your contact
Absolutely,
so that people can
absolutely.
reach
Post
you?
my contact. I don't have any problem with that. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's my name as well. If you want to connect with me on Facebook, it's the same name as well. I have nothing to hide. I'm not wanted by Interpol. I'm not wanted by FBI, CIA. Pretty simple guy, but I'm a good person to know. I tell
Okay.
people. I tell people that when they're in Toronto, I'm more than happy to show them, tell them where to go, what to do, the greatest best places to go, not just the CN Tower, not just Niagara Falls, not just shopping, but maybe meet some interesting people. I'm president of a Chamber of Commerce because I know a lot of people. We have business-to-business meetings, we have face-to-face meetings, we have matchmaking meetings. So if there's a delegation that wants to come from Serbia, I can facilitate that to come to Toronto and meet with the mayor, meet with IT professionals. We have an IT conference coming up next year in Canada that I'm involved in. I have 4 projects right now that I'm involved in IT. If you think you can work with me on those projects, please send me your information. Um, I happily will try to help if I can. I can't guarantee I can, but my motto is how can I help? That's how I live. That's where I made my money. And if you read 1,000 books on networking, connecting, promoting, sales, marketing, advertising, Think and Grow Rich, the classics, every single book, the underlying principle, Zach, is how can I help?
Fantastic. I do wonder if you're going to get quite a full inbox after this in the coming weeks. And the last question for today is, Jack, can you recommend some good books available online about networking?
Yes, very good question. One of the books I can recommend, anything actually I can recommend under Jack Canfield. Same first name, different name. Canfield. Jack Canfield. I have met him. He's a public speaker. He's a coach. He's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Um, Chicken Soup for the Soul. You heard about this, I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
He's one of the co-authors. 500 million books sold worldwide. He is the most sought after business coach on the planet. Anything he writes, I love. One of his top books is Secrets to Success. You can read that from cover to cover, and I guarantee it will change your life. Another book about connecting is Swim with the Sharks by Harvey Mackay. Harvey McKay lives, breathes, sleeps on keeping contact with people he knows. I've heard him speak. He's fantastic. So Harvey McKay, Swim with the Sharks. Um, Perry Sean has a book on coaching. I would recommend that. And if someone sends me an email, I'll give them my top 10 list. Now, there's 1,000 books that come out every week, but the books that have resonated with me that I love and I read and that made me money and have done things in my life, I can definitely recommend them. Top 3, Jack Canfield for sure. Tony Robbins is good stuff on motivation, but in business, Jack Canfield is probably one of the top that I can recommend.
Fantastic, fantastic. people you heard. So if you want, we'll post Jack's email at below this recording on YouTube, and you can contact him even for a recommendation on the books about networking.
Pretty simple. It's my name, gmail.com. Jack Smagala at gmail.com. And like I said, if you're ever in Toronto, you need money, you're at the airport, you need a ride, don't call me.
And Jack, if you're ever in Serbia, please contact us, and we'll be happy to give you a ride. Even okay.
Is there a bottle? Do I have to bring a bottle of Slivovica? Is my question.
No, we're gonna give you one.
Okay, good. I'm in. I'm gonna check flights tomorrow, see when I can get down there.
Fantastic. Okay, so first of all, Jack, thank you so much for your time. This was an excellent conversation. We touched on some very good subjects, and you gave us awesome input and insights into networking. So thank you so much for your time today.
Zach, I want to thank you and your listeners. You have a fantastic group, and my success will be making you guys more contacts and eventually making you guys more money. So let me help you if I can.
Thank you so much to everybody watching us. I wish to say that this is the final Webinarium for 2015. We're going to come back on the 20th of January. We're going to take a winter holiday of a month, and but we're going to have a special surprise for you just before the New Year's and the beginning of the next year. We're starting something new, and I hope that you're going to join us on that. So watch on our social networks and on webinarium.rs for the news. All of you know that you can also listen to my podcast on malepobeda.rs. So for everyone tonight, thank you for watching us. Thank you for being with us. Jack, thank you once again. And to everyone, I wish to say a good night and see you next year. Happy holidays.
All the best. Thank you so much.